Hey gang, Jerry here. Today's video going to be working on our C4 Corvette again today. We're going to be replacing the rear brake light bulbs on our Corvette. Not too difficult of a job, but I'm going to walk you through it step by step and we'll get her done, so stay tuned. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is remove our rear license plate, and as you can see, I already have mine removed. And it's going to give us access to the rear of the rear fascia, because we're going to have to get in there and remove two bolts on this tail light right here. Get our arm up and behind there. In order to do that, we're going to remove or disconnect, I should say, this connector right here. This is for the rear backup lamp, and that will just give us a little bit more room to get our arm back there. So it's a matter of just pushing a plug back here, giving the plug a twist, and then pulling it out. And that will give us a little bit more access to get up behind here. Now there's two 10 millimeter bolts that hold this in. There's one in about this area here and one in about this area right here. We'll have to remove those. You're not going to be able to see what I'm doing because we're going to be working in a blind spot. But we'll remove those two bolts, be able to pull the rear taillight assembly out, replace the bulb on that side, and then that will give us access to get our hand in between, behind this bulb in order to get this bulb. So we'll unbolt this one right now. All right, here we go. I can take my tools. All right, there you go. So we got our rear taillight assembly out, and next step we'll do is disconnect the connector. I'll show you how to swap out the bulbs, and then we'll work on our next one. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. So I've cleaned this off a little bit with some brake clean, and right on the connector you can see it says, it has an install arrow this way and a removal arrow this way. So we know that there's a little clip that we have to push here, twist it basically counterclockwise and remove it. Before I remove it, I'm going to mark this one. This is my inner light, so I'm just going to put an eye on this connector, because I'm going to disconnect this one, then I'm going to reach in and disconnect this one, then we'll change the bulbs. And when I have this harness out here, I'm going to mark this one outer so I don't get the two tail lights confused. So we'll go ahead and disconnect this one, get it out, clean it up, and then we'll replace the bulbs. Like that. Set that aside. And then we know that in order to do this one, we got to twist it this way. So going here. All right, so in order to remove the bulb, it's a push and twist, and the bulb comes out. And this one seems to have some decent, actually, style grease in it. I've already replaced the bulbs on the driver's side, and the grease was very basically hard and corroded and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and clean. I cleaned the grease out on the left hand on the driver's side. I'm going to go ahead and clean the grease out on this side as well, and I have new grease to install. So this bulb is the same way. Push, twist, comes out. This grease you can see is actually a lot harder. You can see how it's just chunked up, and it's not really grease anymore. So we'll go ahead and we'll clean this out on both our connectors. Like I mentioned, I have two new bulbs and new grease, bulb grease to put in, and we'll do that next. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but the bulbs have a I'm going to call it a tall side and a short side. And if you look at your connector, you'll see one side of the connector has a opening that's taller than the other side. So you have to make sure that you have your bulbs lined up correctly in their correct orientation, and they go in real simple. So I did mark my bulbs, my inner and outer. So this is my outer, so this goes in this one right here. The orientation is like that. And we know that, you know, from right on our connector that the installation is going to be, you know, according to this, it's going to be twisting it this way. So we have to get in there, twist it like that, and it should get it set in place. All right, with our outer bulb set in place, we'll install our inner bulb. And again, so we orientate it in there like this and give it a twist, and it's installed. Now, the light gives you a top, so it's gonna go in there like this. You can see the top on there. And for right now, we're just gonna set it in place. And before we button everything up, we're just going to go and test our bulbs and make sure everything's working okay. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so I have my, basically my headlights on and also my flashers on, and you can see that my running lights are on and both lights are flashing, so it tells me that everything's in good shape. You know, we'll go ahead and turn this off and we'll button everything up. Okay, well, there you have it, gang. Last thing to do is put the license plate back on, but we have both our bulbs in, we have our headlight assembly bolted back in, reconnected our reverse tail light connector that gave us a little bit better access. Now, one tool that made this job a little bit easier for me is this is a 10 millimeter ratchet, excuse me, 10 millimeter bolts, but it has, instead of a wrench, it has a little ratchet end on it. And it's a nice little wrench that you can use to get your hand back there and be able to take those bolts off a little bit easier instead of using just a regular wrench where you gotta, you know, remove it and reposition it every single time. You get this on there one time and then you can just ratchet those bolts out. So I'll leave a link in the description below for this wrench and also the bulbs and the grease that I used in today's video. But that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this one. So if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you like the channel and you're going to want to see more content on our C4 Corvette, please consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. And remember, gang, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. All right, gang, take care and see ya.